Hey there, and welcome to Sheeran Guitar Tutorials. My name's David, and in today's lesson, I'll be teaching you how Ed Sheeran plays A Little More live on a loop station. Now, this song came out 2 days ago as of recording this, and he's only played this song once using a loop station. So maybe some things change over time, but even if that does happen, this lesson should get you most of the way there. And if I learn anything new about how to play this song live on a loop station after I've posted this video, I'll leave updated notes in the top of the description of this video down below. So check there if something doesn't seem to make sense to you. If you're looking for how to play the studio recorded version of this song, be sure to click the card on the screen now, as I have a tutorial for that as well. Now then, you'll need your guitar in standard tuning and you won't need a capo. However, if you want to play this song with easier chords, put a capo on the 3rd fret. Let's jump on in. Alright, so we'll start at the very beginning by setting up the loop. You're on track 1 of whatever looper you're using, and you're going to be adding the kick drum and snare sounds using your guitar. So looking at the pattern we're playing, it's just going to be a slap on the guitar right around the sound hole, followed by a muted down strum. You would then repeat both of those actions 1 time each to complete 1 time through our pattern. So 1 full time through the pattern would sound like this. You would then repeat that pattern 3 more times, so 4 times in total, to complete track 1. So I want to point 2 things out now. First, you'll notice I have an extra X highlighted in yellow outside of the pattern, but just ignore that for right now. I'll get to that in a second. And second, this pattern that you go through 4 times is what is establishing the loop length of the song. Everything from here on out is based on this loop length, so it's important to understand what the loop length is. Okay, so as far as looping goes, you're going to want to press the record button on your looper right when you go to make the first slap on the guitar, the very first time through the pattern, and that's what's shown in pink. Then you're going to press the overdub button right when you get to that X highlighted in yellow. That yellow X happens at the same time in the loop as the pink X. So they're essentially the same thing. I'm just showing the yellow X because that helps keep the loop in time and prevents any awkward gaps in the sound. So I hope I explained that well enough. If you're still confused, leave me a comment down below and we can talk. But what also might help is me showing you. So now I'll show you how to add everything to track 1 of our looper. Okay, so moving on to track number 2 of setting up the song, and this is where the guitar riff comes in, or maybe the bass line, I don't know. So what I have shown up on the screen is the guitar riff in the order in which Ed adds the riff to his looper when he plays the song live. It's not actually the order of the riff from beginning to end of the loop length, and that's because Ed will start adding the riff in the middle of the loop length to keep the momentum of the song build up for the crowd. This is actually what the riff looks like in order from beginning to end of the loop length. So if you'd like to learn it this way, feel free to do that. But for this lesson, I'll be teaching the riff in the order of how Ed adds it to the looper when he plays the song live. Okay, so just to play what I have shown up on the screen now, this is how the riff sounds based on how Ed adds it to his looper when he plays the song live. So I don't use a pick for this, I just use my fingers to pick the notes, but if you want to use a pick, go for it. Starting out with the first section, you'll have your index finger on the 6th fret of the low E string, and you'll pluck the low E string. Next, you'll fret the 8th fret of the A string using your ring finger, pluck the A string, and slide up the neck of the guitar to the 10th fret, and then place your index back on the 8th fret of the A string and pluck that. So that bit would sound like this. So what we have so far is this. To finish section 1, you would place your ring finger on the 10th fret of the low E string, pluck that, place your index on the 6th fret of the low E string, pluck that, and then place your ring finger on the 8th fret of the low E string and pluck that. So those last 3 notes would sound like this. So everything from section 1 would sound like this. Moving on to section 2 now, it's just another pluck on the 8th fret of the low E string, followed by a muted down strum, and then another pluck on the 8th fret of the low E string. So all of section 2 just sounds like this. And sections 1 and 2 together sound like this. Section 3 starts off back on the 6th fret of the low E string with your index finger, so plucking that, and then placing your ring finger on the 8th fret of the low E string for a pluck, and then sliding that ring finger up to the 10th fret of the low E string. So far, section 3 sounds like this. Next, you fret the 8th fret of the A string with your index finger and pluck that. Then you pluck the 10th fret of the low E string with your ring finger again. Pluck the 8th fret of the low E string with your index. And then pluck the 6th fret of the low E string with your index. So those last 4 notes of section 3 would sound like this. And all of section 3 would sound like this. And the first 3 sections so far would sound like this. Section 4 is basically the same as section 2, but now you're on the 6th fret of the low E, so that would just sound like this. So the first 4 sections together would sound like this. And so section 5 is technically just a partial repeat of section 1. So while it's not technically required, because you already have that part of the loop length covered, Ed does it again just to keep the momentum of the song building up. So do it if you want, or just leave it out. Sections 1 through 4 cover the whole loop length, so section 5 is not technically needed. I will probably do section 5 in this tutorial though. Okay, so putting it all together, all 5 sections I have shown sounds like this. And again, this is the actual riff from beginning to end based on the loop length. So learn it this way if you'd like. From beginning to end, this riff would just sound like this. Okay, so now I'll show you how to add the guitar riff to track 2 based on how Ed Sheeran does it live. Okay, so now on to track 3, and this is where the keyboard sounds come in. Let me start by playing the sounds for you. If you're curious how I got these sounds sampled and programmed into my keyboard, click the card on the screen now where I go over all those details. And so if you watch that video on how to sample and program sounds for your keyboard, and you want to sample the keyboard sounds that I use in this tutorial, I'll just play 2 options now, and so you can use whatever way you want to sample the sounds for you. Okay, so this track is pretty easy. You're just pressing 4 to 6 different keys. And I say it like that because I'm not 100% sure, but I think the sounds from what I'm calling keys 3 and 6 are the same sounds from what I'm calling keys 1 and 4 respectively. So you probably only need keys 1, 2, 4, and 5 here, but oh well. So you start track 3 by pressing keys 1 through 3 twice, and then press keys 4 through 6 twice. And that's it. And so after you press key 6 for the second time, you would then press the play button on your looper to stop overdubbing. You'd put your looper into whatever mute mode that it has, and then right as verse 1 starts, you would mute track number 1. So what I'll do now is show you how to add everything to track 3 of our loopers, and then transition into verse 1. And so what I'll do now is show you how to set up the entire loop of the song all in one go, and then transition into verse number 1. Okay, so before getting into verse 1, let's look at the chords and strumming, starting with the chords. There are literally just 2 chords for the whole song, so it's pretty easy. First is an A-sharp bar chord, played like this. Now, it looks like Ed sometimes will play this chord another way, kind of like this, where he uses his thumb to get the low E string and index on just the B and the high E, but it's literally the same thing. I think he just does it to rest his hand, maybe. So feel free to play the A sharp like that if you want, but I'll just be playing the normal bar chord. The next chord is a C minor 7 bar chord, which is played like this. Now this chord may have your pinky on the 11th fret of the B string as well, but that's totally optional. It also looks like Ed sometimes plays this chord as a normal C minor, which would be like this, or even muting the low E string, kind of like this. So use whatever form of the C minor 7 or C minor you want. However, I'll be using the first version of the C minor 7 that I showed you. And so that's it for the chords. If you're using a capo though, you would just play a G chord like this, and that would be in place of the A sharp bar chord. And then you would play an A minor 7 like this, which would be in place of the C minor 7 bar chord. All right, so moving on to strumming now. I have 3 shown up on the screen, but pattern 1 is basically all you need to know for like 95% of the song. So I'll just show you how pattern 1 would sound like. play that pattern with an A sharp chord, it would sound like this. Now, you'll notice 2 strums are underlined. That's just to show you that you should try and mute your strumming for those strums, either by unfretting your chord, by loosening the pressure in your fretting hand, or by muting the strings with your strumming hand. Either way works. You'll also notice 2 strums are bolded. That's to tell you to try and emphasize those strums a little more to make them a bit more loud. So just to show you the difference, with the bolded and underlined strums, the pattern sounds like this. And without the bolded and underlined strums, your strumming pattern would sound like this. So you can see that the muting and the emphasized strums give the song the rhythm that you want. Okay, so then we have patterns 2 and 3, which are also used for a few parts of the song. So pattern 2 is just 8 down strums. And pattern 3 is just a down, down, up strum. Both of those are nice and easy. Okay, so getting into the song now. I have notes for verse 1 shown on the screen, but I want to point out that Ed doesn't actually play any guitar during verse 1. I just have chords and strumming shown for context, so you know when to turn tracks on and off. If you want to play guitar though, go right ahead, and you would play what I have shown. As far as pedal work goes, verse 1 is pretty easy. You're going to be muting track number 1 right at the very beginning, which is the strum highlighted in pink, and then you just let tracks 2 and 3 play for the rest of the verse. And verse 1 is made up of 2 times through the chord progression I have shown. And that's it. So now I'll show you how to transition from building up the song into verse number 1, how to play verse number 1, and then transition into pre-chorus number 1. So now we're into pre-chorus 1, and you are actually playing guitar here. So let's zoom in and look at that. It's 2 lines of chords, and you'd start by playing strumming pattern 1 twice for the A sharp. So that would sound like this. And then twice for the C minor 7. So all of line 1 would sound like this. From there, you'd play the A sharp chord with pattern 1 twice again, but then from there, you'd be using strumming pattern 2 to play the C minor 7. And so that would just sound like this. You'll also notice I have an asterisk on the very last down strum for the C minor 7. That's because Ed will slide up the neck of the guitar along the low E string. It's just a fun little thing to do that looks cool, so I figured I'd call it out. Feel free to skip that though. So all of line 2 would sound like this. And all of the guitar playing part for pre-chorus 1 would sound like this. And as far as loop work goes here, you start with tracks 2 and 3 playing, and you have track 1 muted. And you keep it that way until you get to the strum highlighted in pink, where you're just going to stop all the tracks, and then you would unmute track number 1, and that would bring you right into the chorus. So now I'll show you how to transition from verse 1 into pre-chorus 1, how to play pre-chorus 1, and then transition into chorus 1. Okay, so now we're into chorus 1, and again, you are playing guitar here. However, none of the guitar parts here are new. We've already gone over the chords and the strumming pattern to play those chords. So refer back to the pre-chorus 1 section for the details on how to play this chord progression. The only difference I'll say, however, is you're playing this chord progression 4 times now, where in pre-chorus 1, you were only playing it for about a time and a half. So on to the looping part. You'll start the chorus by pressing the play button to play all the tracks, right as you go to do the first down strum, highlighted in pink, the first time through the chord progression. From there, you're just playing along with the loop until you get to the last half of the C minor 7 block, the last time through the chord progression. When you get to the strum highlighted in yellow, you would mute track number 3, and when you get to the strum highlighted in blue, you would mute track number 1. And so that's it. So now I'll show you how to transition from pre-chorus 1 into chorus 1, how to play chorus 1, and then transition into verse number 2. So into verse 2 now, and there is no guitar playing here again, unless you really wanted to. And again, you're going through the hypothetical chord progression 2 times. As far as looping goes, you start verse 2 with just track 2 playing, and tracks 1 and 3 are muted. When you get to the strum highlighted in pink for the first time, you would unmute track number 1. You then let tracks 1 and 2 play until you get to the strum highlighted in yellow the second time, and that's where you would then mute track number 1. And then quickly after that, you would unmute track number 3, and then finish the verse. So now I'll show you how to transition from the end of chorus number 1 into verse number 2, how to play verse number 2, and then transition into pre-chorus 2. Getting into pre-chorus 2 now, Ed actually didn't play any guitar here in the first live looping performance. However, if you want to play guitar, go right ahead. You just play what I have shown up on the screen. However, I won't be doing that. As far as looping goes, you come into pre-chorus 2 with tracks 2 and 3 playing and track 1 muted. And right at the beginning of pre-chorus 2, when you get to the strum highlighted in pink for the first time, you would unmute track number 1. From there, you let all 3 tracks play out until you get to the strum highlighted in yellow for the second time, which is where you would then mute track number 1 again, and then finish the pre-chorus. So now I'll show you how to transition from verse 2 into pre-chorus 2, how to play pre-chorus 2, and then transition into chorus 2. So now we're in chorus 2, and you are playing guitar again. And so we've already gone over how to play the guitar part here, so refer back to the pre-chorus 1 or the chorus 1 section of this video for the details. As far as looping goes, you come into chorus 2 with tracks 2 and 3 playing, and track 1 is muted. And right at the beginning of chorus 2, when you get to the strum highlighted in pink for the first time, you would unmute track number 1. You would then continue playing the chord progression with all 3 tracks playing, until you get to the strum highlighted in yellow the last time through. There, you would stop all your tracks to then transition into the bridge. So now I'll show you how to transition from pre-chorus 2 into chorus 2, how to play chorus 2, and then transition from chorus 2 into the bridge. so now we're into the bridge of the song. And you're still playing guitar here, so let's start with that. You would start with just a single down strum on the A sharp chord, then a single down strum on the C minor 7 chord, before playing pattern 3 to finish that first C minor 7. So that whole first C minor 7 would sound like this. And the first 2 chords of the bridge would sound like this. From there, you would do the same thing you just did on the C minor 7 with the A sharp chord. And then finish the bridge by playing strumming pattern 2 and then 3 on the C minor 7. So the last 2 chords of the bridge would sound like this. And the entirety of the bridge would sound like this. As far as looping goes, no tracks are playing for the entirety of the bridge, so there's nothing to learn there. So now I'll show you how to transition from chorus 2 into the bridge, how to play the bridge, and then transition from the bridge into chorus 3. So now we've made it to the final part of the song, chorus 3. And like the other choruses, you are playing guitar here, but it's no different than the other choruses. So refer back to those sections for the details. As far as looping goes, right at the very beginning, at the strum highlighted in pink, you're going to press play on your looper to play all the tracks. From there, you just play the chords on the guitar with all 3 tracks playing until you get to the strum highlighted in blue the last time through the chord progression. At that point, you would mute track number 3, and then you would mute track number 1. Then, when you get to the strum highlighted in yellow the last time through the chord progression, you just hit stop on your looper to finish the song. So now, I'll show you how to transition from the bridge into chorus 3, how to play chorus 3, and then finish the song. And so that's the entirety of the song. So what I'll do now is do a full playthrough of the song to give you something to practice and play along to. Enjoy. And so that's the entirety of the lesson. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on all those notifications. If you want more tutorials covering songs from Play, be sure to click the card on the screen now to jump to all my other Ed Sheeran lessons. And finally, be sure to be on the lookout for many more Play tutorials to come in the very near future. Thank you.